Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the best teams for Season 26 for the Open Ultra League. We're going to take a look here today, especially with a little bit of a focus towards a Pokemon going to be stronger this season. Doesn't mean directly that they have to be buffed, but I already made a video about 2 days ago towards the best course and the best buffed Pokemon. Definitely check that one out as well before you watch this video. But yeah, sorry, yesterday there was supposed to be already this video out, but I was sick, so I couldn't really do that. Today, hopefully going to be better. And today we're going to take a look, of course, at the top 10 teams, and of course you have the option here to subscribe to this channel for free, as yeah, we are trying to get someday to the 100,000 subscribers. It would be amazing, and I can get a little play button, would be fantastic. Anyway, let's move on to team number 1, which is going to bring in a Pokemon that you maybe wouldn't really expect here unless you watched the last episode of the Pokemon that got buffed quite significantly, which is going to be Dondozo. Dondozo is a Pokemon that is quite a bit stronger this season thanks to the waterfall change on this thing. This thing itself is just a pure water type Pokemon with amazing bulk, and that's all that you really need in this meta, as you're going to have your Surf and Outrage as alright charge move options. They're not really that great, but it's just a bulky water type, and that's all it is. And I coached them already in the Great League with this Pokemon. Even the Great League, this Pokemon has now a ton of potential, which is kind of funny because, again, it doesn't have actually the best moveset. If this one gets a moveset update again, you will see this Pokemon everywhere. But right now, it's still a very cool niche pick. It's, I think, in the top 20 though now for the Ultra League. And we have Drapion as our Say-Sop and the Galarian Weezing in the back. And Drapion as our Say-Sop is going to have access to Awkward Tail. Yeah, being able to basically punish Pokemon that are weak to water type damage. And then we're going to have here, of course, the Weezing in the back that kind of wants to get not the ground type Pokemon against it, and as we have water type in the lead and the Say-Sop that's also part poison type, you will get out the ground types basically guaranteed with your Drapion. And so this is how this team works, and this is why this team is amazing. Alternative option for the Weezing could be the Como-O, which also has great synergy together with the Dondozo here. So yeah, this is going to be it for team number 1. I think it's a very solid lineup. Not really any big weaknesses. Empoleon, by the way, I don't have a team here around this Pokemon. Empoleon is still very good in like the Dragon course if you want to run this Pokemon. Like Empoleon, like Goodra, Dragonite, Guzzlord. Okay, Guzzlord really have double weakness into fighting, but you know basically what I mean. Como is a good Dragon type Pokemon. Regidrago is a good Dragon type Pokemon. Just generally, Empoleon, very good Pokemon still in this meta. Alright, this is something I'm very likely going to play in the beginning already. I haven't tried out Annihilate yet at all. I wanted to, but I haven't really been able to get around to do even most of my battles. I'm still like somehow stuck at like rank 15 or something because I haven't done my battles yet. But we're going to have the Annihilate, the Licky as well as the Corviknight. This is altogether a very solid lineup. We're going to have Licky with their Shadow Ball, having basic coverage that also your lead has in a Rage Fist there, both Ghost type damage. We're going to have the Annihilate mainly being weak to like Flying type Pokemon, where you're going to have access, of course, to the Rollout on your Licky, and maybe even in the back, it would be better to run the Steelix, which also gives you a bit of better options again against the Togekiss, which is kind of the only real core breaker. But Togekiss then again as well takes super effective damage from the Rollouts from Licky, and if you have then the Steelix in the back, you have a Thunderfang as a fast move that does super effective damage against this Pokemon as well, making this team nearly perfect. And this is a very solid team generally as well on how it's built, because what you have is immediate charge move pressure in the close combat of the Annihilate, forcing shields early on, being able to swap out then into the Licky, and then yeah, in the back you have then Steelix, or there could be other steel type Pokemon as well that you can run, like the Alolan Sandslash, Registeel, something like this. I'm just thinking currently about the matchup against Florges, which is a matchup that you're going to see quite often. You might want to have something that's even not weak to the water type move Chilling Water, which Steelix would be, so there are alternative options that you can run as well. The issue is with, for example, something like the Alolan Sandslash is that an Aura Sphere from the Togekiss is even more brittle than it is on a Steelix. Alright, Cresselia got buffed. Okay, we have an actually buffed Pokemon in here in Cresselia. Stunfisk got kind of nerfed and buffed at the same time. I don't know, like this Pokemon kind of hovered around in the same ranking. I think the meta itself is better for it because you don't have to worry about Mudstep as much. And Ampharos got buffed as well without getting buffed because Mudstep is kind of gone. Which you're going to see here as well. Like this team is going to be fantastic. I think Ampharos is one of the best Pokemon in the current meta. I think it's a Pokemon that I would play the most. It's a fantastic pick right now. It's so safe. Like the coverage itself, it makes it basically impossible to find something to swap into other than like something like a Zygarde Complete, which most players don't have. You could run something like a Flygon or something now with a Twister damage update there as well in this meta. But just generally speaking, like this is a fantastic Pokemon Ampharos. Otherwise here we're going to have, of course, the lead of Corsair, bulky Pokemon that is very good against nearly everything. Going to be weak against Pokemon like the Corviknight as well as the Moltres, which you're going to have two great answers in the back here in the Ampharos as well as the Stunfisk. They're going to be alternative options in the back as well, which you can run. I like Raikou. Raikou is a fun Pokemon to run if you want to run like a Shadow Raikou in the back instead of the Stunfisk that works out as well. But generally speaking, it's a fantastic team, and especially because of the Grass Knot coverage that you have on the Cresselia, you're going to be quite fine with your Ampharos there. One thing that could be a bit problematic still for this type of team could be something like a Guzzlord, which again, you have Moonblast on the lead, but otherwise can be a bit of a problem. Kind of maybe need to be a bit careful towards that, but otherwise it's going to be a fantastic team to run. Alright. Swampert Toucannon. We can kind of go fast through this one. This is just the classic line you want to run on Swampert. Swampert is very good now. Swampert got buffed again to the point where it was back in the day. The meta itself shifted around though a little bit, which makes it a bit worse than it was back in the day when it won even a a world championship. Like literally like 4 or 5 years ago now at this point, I think. But we have Corviknight Sasop, which is arguably the best kind of addition that ever happened for the Swampert. Back in the day, you would run XL Skarmory, for example, in the back. Nowadays, of course, not anymore. But Corviknight is a very good Sasop here, as you're going to still have Sandtag as a fast move, as so like you have some ground type coverage still on this Pokemon, while being a flying type that counters the only weakness of Swampert, the grass typing. And then again, we have another flyer in the back in Toucan, which is a Sweeper, or Moltres if you want to play it a bit safer. Okay. Gyarados got access to Twister. Twister is going to be cool on Gyarados, and it's a very good core with Cradily, and we're going to have a bit of an elemental team here in Grass, Water, and Fire, with the Gyarados Sasop, the Talonflame in the back, and the Cradily as a lead. I think it's an alright team. Empoleon can be a bit problematic, but I think it's a cool team to run. I think I would want to try it out for sure. Gyarados itself, a bit tough to play teams around, but I've seen people have great success with this Pokemon, by the way, in the Open Great League right now. So, interesting thing. Twister, of course, a very, very strong move now. I think does more damage even than the Aqua Tail does. It does do more damage than the Aqua Tail does, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, this is an interesting one. Of course, you need a little bit more energy for Twister as well. Team 6. We have Guzzlord, and we have two Pokemon in the back that are going to be good against Fairy types. Woohoo, this is kind of how the meta is going to be. Like, honestly, like, we kind of want to have, like, Guzzlord a lot. Like, Guzzlord is one of the best Pokemon, in my opinion, maybe the best Pokemon for this meta. You're going to have the crazy weakness to the Fairy type, which is kind of unfortunate, but anything else you're going to be fine against. We're going to have here, of course, Tentacruel as a Sasop. You can run Poison Sting as well if you want to, but here Acid is going to be the most neutral play. And then you have Payback, which allows it to hit Ghost-type Pokemon that you can maybe bait out. But Talonflame in the back is going to be another closer, which is going to be good against most of the Fairy-type Pokemon currently. And the thing is here as well, you can use your Sasop kind of depending on what you faced in the lead. For example, if you're going to encounter a Florges in the lead, I would rather swap out into my Talonflame as a Sasop and keep my Tentacruel in the back, as Tentacruel has a way better matchup there compared to the Talonflame. And Talonflame might be able to bait a Pokemon that Tentacruel doesn't want to face, and that would be kind of cool. And so, this is kind of the way to play this. I don't really see that there is a big answer to this team, but I still find it, yeah, Tentacruel Guzzlord is just kind of best core currently, in my opinion, for this meta. But yeah, we can move on to team number 7. Which is going to be here, Primarina, the Sasop of Ampharos as well as the Guzzlord in the back. Primarina is the biggest meta winner, climbing over 100 points thanks to the Waterfall update. If you hadn't seen my top core and top buff Pokemon video, check that one out as well. Primarina was in there. Primarina, though, is actually kind of funny because if you take a look at the difficult matchups here for this team, you're going to have here the Elite, which is going to be weak to grass and poison, which you see as well, where the Pokemon down there are going to be a bit problematic. But it's kind of funny because in both cases, I would very like to just stay in with the Primarina. Virizion itself is going to be the bigger issue for this team, I have to say, because Virizion itself is going to be very good against the backline as well. You can run Sludge Bomb on your Guzzlord though if you want to. You can also use an alternative option instead of the Ampharos if you feeling that you encounter quite a lot of Virizions. I'm not too sure about it. You can use a flying type Pokemon, you can use something like Corviknight Sasop here as well, which is going to be good against both of the weaknesses that you currently have on the team. So Corviknight would be a solid alternative for the Ampharos. Alright, team number 8. Where you're going to have the Acrobatics and Wing Attack Shadow Gliscor. Very cool typing, which is the main reason why this Pokemon is usable, is the type itself, not so much the stats or the moveset directly. I feel like it lacks kind of a bit of ground type damage. I would like to see like a cheap ground type move on this Pokemon. Issue is that there is no real cheap ground type move that this Pokemon could learn. I don't think it learns Bone Club, which is the only good real cheap ground type move. But basically, what you're going to have here is still a very solid core together with the Jellicent. GlitchxCity going to be able to beat most of the issues of the Jellicent. GlitchxCity itself has the weakness of water and ice, which Jellicent can kind of usually deal with. And then we're going to have here Primeape in the Sacer position, which is going to be kind of nice as well together with a flying type, as well as the alternative option of the Feraligatr. Second to last team, we're going to have here Flyer, Talonflame in the lead, the Sacer of Heracross, which has access to Upper Hand and the Rock Tomb, which functions very well as a Sacer because it has so much diverse coverage. The main goal of the Heracross here is actually not to win the matchup. The main goal is to set up the matchup for Talonflame to sweep endgame then. Basically what is happening here is if you're going to face a bad lead for the Talonflame, you can swap out into the Heracross and then you're going to be fine at trying to weaken up whatever is in there. The actual issue that I see here though with this team, this is the one Pokemon they kind of missed here, is actually Jellicent itself. If you face Jellicent lead, it's going to be a bit tough because Talonflame and the Heracross are both kind of weak to it. Talonflame could stay in though, take a surf and go for Fly and Brave Bird and actually have a very solid Zero Shield scenario against the Jellicent there, but this depends on how you want to play the matchup itself. I think that Fly and Brave Bird makes the most amount of sense in the current meta though for the Talonflame. I don't think that Flame Charge really makes a lot of sense here. And then the back Virizion as well, Como, they both don't really do that much different. They're both very solid though. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting team. Could be maybe a little bit more balanced though, but then again, yeah, you can get rid of, for example, the Sacer here of Heracross and go for Licky Licky, but where's the point then? You can use Heracross and the closer then. But yeah, like, that would be an alternative option if you want to make this team a bit safer, go for Licky Licky instead of the Heracross. You can still have the Heracross in the back, Virizion in the back, or the Como in the back. Okay, I had to bring this in one. I know I don't have a team around Empoleon in here, sorry, but I need to take a look at the Slowbro. Slowbro is a fun Pokemon, and Slowbro is also an option for the Ultra League. Florges as well as Guzzlord here. Guzzy Wuzzy is going to be a Pokemon that is going to be very solid together. You're going to have the weakness apparently to Clefable, but I don't really see the point of that for the Slowbro. Slowbro doesn't really have the biggest weaknesses here in the meta. Ludicolo is a weakness, Drapion is a weakness, but we have the Guzzlord for those two. And basically Guzzlord Slowbro core is fantastic in this meta, which is hilarious to think of. I would actually kind of like to see on how it is to run Slowbro as a closer, because with Drain Punch, you have the option to really slow down games and yeah, try to win with your pure bulk that you have on this thing. But it's going to be a fun final team for team number 10. If I can, I hope I can, I want to make another video today towards the top teams for the Spring Cup, which are coming up as well. So stay tuned for this, follow for more, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.